Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd have another look at the Hitachi S-4000 control computer. Basically what I want to do in this video today is get the guts of this thing stripped out. As you may have known, like I said, I have no intention of keeping this as what it is. It really is pretty much useless. What I intend to do is turn this basically into kind of like a diagnostics bench type of thing. I mean, we've got some nice screens there. Don't know if I'm going to be keeping them screens or replacing them with something else, but I want some display screens. I've got space to do something there. I'm not 100% sure yet, but basically I'm going to get rid of the keyboard, put a workbench in here that will slide in and out on runners, and the inside I'm going to use for computers, basically more modern, you know, desk computers, PCs, things like that. So obviously I need to get the inside stripped out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the cabinet underneath here, because I really want the front open so I can get stuff in there. So I don't know whether I'm going to cut this out and make a new back, or I'm going to look at actually spinning this round on the top, but we can look at that in a later video. What this video is going to be about is we'll get this thing spun round, I'll get the camera set up down here, and I've got some better lighting than last time I was fiddling about with this thing, so you can actually see what's inside it, and we'll get, basically we're going to get the guts of this thing stripped out. We'll have a look at them on the bench, we'll see what we've got, because a lot of that stuff's going to be really useful for reuse for other projects, stuff like that. And then the next time you see this, we'll perhaps be looking at actually turning this thing, like I say, into something a little bit more useful. May even have a look at perhaps getting them screens to fire up in an upcoming video. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll pause the video now, I'll get everything set up, get this thing spun round, and get the camera set so you can actually see what's going on inside it, and we'll be back in a sec. Right, okay, I've got you down basically where we're working. The first thing I really want to do is get this thing out. This is that huge oil-filled high voltage transformer. This is what weighs everything in this unit, and basically I need to get this out of here so I can actually see what I've got more than anything. This is something I'll probably try to resell to get a little bit of my money back that I paid for this thing. So even though I only paid £1 for this unit, I did have to hire a van to go and collect it. That does still owe me a little bit. Right. Obviously none of this is any use to me in its actual form, but there are loads and loads of useful parts on here we can reclaim. There we go. But there's going to be a lot of disassembly involved, I can see. Just for us to be able to get this unit out. Right. It's like every connector seems to have special clips to stop it popping out, and you know, the build quality on this thing is something else. It really is quite impressive. Oh, there we go. So that's the first board. Wow, that's a big heatsink on that side there. That is huge. I'm a feeling that power board's actually going to come out with the... Ooh, I don't like that. That's one of the main high voltage cables, and it's severely damaged there. So it would not... And that's why it leaked all the oil out. There's an open fill hole there for the transformer. Got some more connectors here, disconnect them. I suppose we need to disengage That's not good either. That's I'm going to be keeping some of this high voltage cable though. This will be incredibly handy for working on vintage television. Put both of those are damaged where they actually enter the transformer down there. So I suppose we can cut them off with a bitter. I don't think there'll be any capacitance or anything on here that's going to cause a problem if I cut through them. Yeah, because I mean that's been cut off there, hasn't it? That one's still got its high voltage connector on that side, but we can safely cut them off. Or at least we can disconnect them and pull them out. I don't know yet. I've got another massive edge connector onto that power supply as well. We'll need to take that off. So we can get a screwdriver in there to undo that. And we can see about pulling this thing out. Right, that's one screw out. Struggling to get my screwdriver in here, just get to this screw here. Well, basically we've got a big edge connector on the top of this power supply, and it's screwed down, it's screwed into place. I'm just trying to get the screws out now, and then I can pull it out. And I think that's the last thing actually holding the last electrical connection to this power supply. And then I think we might be able to release it. There we go. Basically just trying to get all the loom off it, and then we can actually see what we're working at. This is what we're trying to get out at the moment, this huge hunking thing here. In fact, I've just found even more screws to it down the side there. So I've got a pile of screws to take out on that side. I've got a pile of screws to take out on the bottom there. Let's see how easy these screws are going to come out. Oh yeah, they'll fly out nice and easy. That's the other great thing about taking something like this apart. It's just the sheer amount of hardware. These screws, the spacers, everything like that, you know, we can reuse for projects. This one's a bit bent. This one's not coming out as easy as the other ones. Last one up here, and then I've got the ones. Again, this is something's happened to this screw because it's not wanting to unscrew. Yeah, it's got bent, unfortunately. That screw in there's got bent, it's not undoing. I might have to resort to a drill on that. Let's see if we can get in to undo these. If not, I'm going to have to pause the video and figure out a way of getting these screws out, and then we'll be getting back. You know, that one's all coming undone. In fact, to stop the video getting too long, I'll pause the video and I'll just get the rest of these screws out, and I'll see what I can do about getting that one in there that's causing a problem out. And then we can see about getting this whole unit out and onto the floor, and we can take a quick look at it. So back in a sec. Okay, we're back, and after a good 40 minutes of swearing and struggling with a rather bent screw, that's what was stopping it coming out. As you can see, that's, I don't know what happened to it in the past, but it's obviously got dropped quite severely to bend a screw like that. Anyway, I managed to get it out, so hopefully now, yeah, the high voltage power unit is actually free, so with any luck I can get this actually, ooh, there we go, I can get this out. Wow, that's still incredibly heavy. Get them little isolators out. I'm guessing that's where, oops, it's dripping oil. So this thing does still have some, I'll have to clean that up in a second. This thing still does have some oil in it, obviously. And pull this bugger out, because this is what I would want to be getting rid of. Like I said, I don't really have any use for a 25 kilovolt transformer, but let me see if I can get the camera down a bit more so you can have a quick look at this thing. In fact, let me just pause the camera slightly and I'll just get you set up a bit better. Okay, well, there we go. Hopefully that's a slightly better view of this thing. This is where I think the oil was, basically I thought that was the fill port where you'd actually put the oil into this, but I'm not 100% sure now. I'm actually wondering whether there was something that connected to it there. I presume these were the main outputs, but we'll see. And we've got, you know, high voltage danger and a serious connector there. Like I said, it's a ceramic connector. But if nothing else, this cable, like I said, is incredibly useful if you're into doing old vintage TVs to replace EHT cable. So that I will probably salvage. And it is broken there where it actually enters the transformer. I keep calling this thing a this must be some kind of high frequency transformer. That's all I can guess how this thing works. Like I say, I'm really not familiar with things like this. It's no interest to me. If you know anyone out there that would have a use or be interested in this thing, please, you know, leave it down in the comments, let me know, because like I say, it's of absolutely no use to me, but I'm sure someone could find it incredibly useful. The only thing that could possibly be of use for me is bits off that board. Let me see if I can get you down so you can have a look at the board I'm referring to. This basically down here is, let me see if I can perhaps lift it up somehow so you can see. In fact, just bear with me a sec. Okay, there, how's that? So this is what I was referring to. That's really the only thing on here that interests me. It's the high voltage control board. So basically this has got all the switching. I think this thing basically works like a huge version of the line output transformer in a television set. This is just like a massively scaled up version of the same thing. So if I'm getting this right, basically what this will do is this will produce a very high frequency AC, or at least like a pulse DC or something like that. Very, very high frequency, hence all the power transistors here. There'll be a couple of coils inside here, like I said, quite a low impedance wire and a massive, massive high one. This will create pulsed voltage that goes through that. It steps it up to like 25,000 volts. I'm presuming then there's some kind of DC rectification done inside here to then convert that to DC. Anyway, that's basically what I think how this thing works. Like I say, it's really absolutely no use to me whatsoever. But I'm sure someone may actually have a use for this thing. Like I said, if not, I will strip this board off it, because there are loads and loads of useful parts on that board that I can reuse. You know, big capacitors like that, if these are any good, they'll be absolutely top brand if they're still in good condition. I can reuse them. Loads of power resistors, some decent capacitors I know I can reuse, power transistors, even switches and stuff like that, which are, you know, going to be handy. Heat sinks, big rectifier down there. Anyway, I'll get this out of the way and we'll get on and we'll see what else we can find in this thing that we can pull out and salvage. So back in a sec. Okay, now we've got that out of the way, we've got a lot more space here. Let's look at taking the next thing out, which is this, which is basically the main power supply unit, not the high voltage power supply unit, but the standard the standard power supply unit. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this lashed on cable that it came with, which is basically how the guy had shown it working in the YouTube listing, in the eBay listings. So we'll get that off, because I'm not very happy with having live connectors like that on the back of it, even if it is only 110 volts or 100 volts. So we'll get that off. There we go. And get that out of the way for now. And this, one of the only real shame about this is that it is designed for 100 volts AC. If it was if it was a primer that we could change the input voltage on, that could make a really useful power supply for various projects. But unfortunately, it's designed for AC 100 volts input, so it means it's not really a huge amount of use to me. But I'm sure there's lots and lots of other useful bits in here. I think the next thing we're going to do is actually get this power supply out. So let's disconnect some of these. There's loads of useful wiring in this as well. Got a board there. Let's get that disconnected. A quick look at that. Extract the wiring from it as well. Even this ribbon cable stuff like this can come in, will come in handy. You know, odd connectors like that. I mean, what's this? Caution on Moss IC. We haven't got a clue what that board does, but seems to have a relay on it. Yes, it's another interesting board. All have useful parts that we can reuse on it though. Right, now that's going up to the monitors and things like that. I think we are going to have to get a little bit more brutal with this thing and start cutting some wiring, but for the moment I'm just trying to disconnect as many things as I can. So we've got that out, there we go. It's very much like that supply unit we've just taken out, as in there's lots of screws into the base that I need to unscrew, and then this entire unit should come out as one unit. Get right down to the back here. That one out. I think we've got the same down the other side, so I'll get them out and then we'll come straight back as soon as I've got those out. Okay, we're back. I'm just finishing disconnecting this wiring harness here. And unfortunately, what it does seem to indicate is that those monitors up there are indeed designed to run on 100 volts. So they were actually designed to they are designed to run on the Japanese voltage. I think I'll get that off there, and then I think we should have this power supply unit actually out of the system. Again, that's another great big lump we've managed to get out of this thing. Right there, hopefully I should be able to pull this free now. Let's have a so we can just take that off, make life a bit easier so we can slide it out. The nice thing is I'm already seeing all the space I'm going to have in here to actually, like I said, build other things into it. Which is the nice thing. There we go. Out it comes. Right. Whew. There we go. that basically is the see if I can get the camera down on it so you can see this thing. It's huge. I've still got a wiring harness here. Let's see if we can. Right, that goes into that main. Right, so basically what we've still got in the computer here, that is actually part of the power supply. That's the power board. That's the rectification board. What we've got down here, we've got a main transformer there. Let's have a look at this now. So we've got a primary which is designed for between 95 and 100 volts. Our secondary, we've got 19 volts, 24 volts, 18 volts, 12 volts, 34 volts, 2.1 volts, 16.5, 55 volts, another 16.5. So we've got lots and lots and lots of useful secondaries on there. So the real shame with this thing is that it's only got that one primary on it. So unfortunately that lovely great big transformer there is going to be fairly useless to us. There's another smaller transformer down here, and unfortunately it's the same. They've only got one primary on them, and it's a 100 volt primary, so it means that both those transformers, even though they are really top quality and really nice things, are going to be absolutely useless for anything I really want to do. So again, I might try them on eBay, see if someone's got a use for them. If not, it's probably just weighing them in for the copper, which is a bit of a shame really, because they are incredibly well made, but they aren't going to be of any real use to me. On the other side of the power supply, however, we've got a couple of switch mode power supplies. Let me see if I can spin this thing around so you can, in fact let me see if I can disconnect that big transformer from its power board. Disconnect that. Disconnect that. And pull them out of the way now. And we can. I'll spin this round so you can have a look at on the other side. Ooh. We've got two, by the look of it, switch mode. Get them down there so you can see them. There we go. We've got two switch mode power supplies. Why the other power supplies are linear supplies and then they use switch mode for other parts of it, I'm not 100% sure, but that is the supply that would have drove the actual computer that we had fired up in a previous video. So that is just a pure 5 volt, probably quite high current, but a 5 volt switch mode power supply. Now there is a possibility that with it being a switch mode supply, we might be able to swap that round and get that to run on 240 volts. Again, if it can't, it is only ever designed and dedicated to run on 100 volts. It's just a case of whatever we can salvage from inside it, but we will have a proper look at that, because that might be quite a nice power supply to do something with. I'll pull this out of the way and we'll get that final board out of there, which is the control board that actually has all the power regulation, rectification and stuff like that on it for that big transformer, and I believe the smaller one down there. So let's have a quick. It actually literally just slides out now, because we've pretty much taken everything else free from the system. This board now, let me just see if I can get you. Basically, it's just going to slide completely out. Look at that. And that's got some awesome big power resistors on it as well. So we'll get some of these ribbon cables disconnected, just make life a little bit easier for us. Got loads of useful ribbon cable and things like that out of this as well. All this will come in handy for, like I said, vintage computer repairs. And some of these power parts here will come in very, very handy for perhaps amplifiers and things like that. There's some rather interesting stuff on this board that we can salvage. Let me see if I can hike it a bit further, get it right out of the system. There we go. I'll spin this over and I'll let you have a I'll let you have a look what we've got down here. So as you can see, it's got really big bridge wave rectifiers there. We've got some, I'll just take you up there, massive, and I do mean massive power resistors. They must be take some serious load. Those, what are they, 2.2 ohm each, but I don't know what current they're going to be able to take. Something serious anyway. I've got two really nice beefy power resistors there, and like I said, these caps we're not going to know about yet, but they will be worth testing because those are all probably fine and will be reusable for other projects. So yeah, there is lots and lots of really good stuff in this to salvage, like I said, for other projects. Oh, and here we go. We've got even more here. Again, I think this is all to do with the power regulation in this thing. We've got just banks and banks of either power transistors or switching MOSFETs down these massive big heat sinks there. Got a huge fan at this side blowing air through that heat sink there. So we're talking seriously heavy duty stuff here. We'll see if we can get rid of some more of these. What I'll probably end up doing after I finish this video is just getting all these nice pieces of ribbon out of here and just stripping all the good cable that I want to keep out of it, and tidying the inside of here up a bit so I can actually figure out what I'm going to do next. So what I'll do, I'll pause the video now. I'll come back when I've got some of this a bit more tidied up and have a proper look at some of the bits and bobs and parts I've managed to so far pull out of this thing. So back very shortly. Okay, we're back, and oh boy, that's been busy. Basically what we've got here, this is the entire wiring loom out of the control computer. I've managed to, it took me the best part of an hour to do this. I've managed to take the entire wiring loom out of there. So we've got all, look at this, to salvage for projects. I mean, really top end, nice ribbon cable. I'm never going to run out of hookup wire for projects now. Literally, I have got enough hookup wire here if I strip all this down to probably last me the rest of my life. And it's all really, I mean, this is handy for any mods and repairs in computers. It's just really useful stuff to have, and you know, you pay your money for this, and we've got a lot out of this basically for free. This braid, this is incredibly useful stuff. So that'll all go in a box, and I'll deal with that, you know, in one great big pile, and I'll strip it all down. I'll get all the good useful cable out of there. There's lots and lots of good useful connectors and things like that in there. So that will all now go in a box, and like I said, I will take some time to actually sort that out properly and get that out of the way though. And this is basically what we've ended up with. So as you can see there, essentially I've got the entire inside of the old system completely stripped. I'll just move you back a little bit so you can see a little bit more of what I'm showing you. So I've got a blank canvas basically. I've got all this space in there now. Obviously I've still got the odd. What I have left in here is anything to do with the monitor systems up here. There's a control unit over there. We've got the monitors themselves there, and a few other little bits and bats of the circuit under there, and that's all to do with those monitors, and I want to look at that in a separate video. It looks quite interesting. Like I said, we've got an extra board under there. They're not just standard composite monitors from what I can see. They look to be something a little bit more interesting than that, shall we put it that way. So we'll look at those in a separate video. But I'm really pleased with what I've got done so far, because I've got all this stripped out. There's definitely going to be enough room in here to put a couple of computers in here, possibly even put a shelf in, some more storage, things like that. So like I said, I'm quite pleased with how I've gone so far with this. and I've got lots and lots of useful parts that I can strip down, look at, you know, repurpose for other things. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now with this video. Like, so you've seen we've actually managed to get the whole of the inside of this thing stripped out. I'll probably make the next video when I've got a little bit more done on this. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure which way I'm going to go with the keyboard or any of that. I'm probably going to strip that out and put that somewhere, because that whole system does actually work. You did see in the previous video it actually fired up, and that's a self-contained unit, and I'm not planning to use that in the actual build of my desk, so I said we'll probably pull that out and I can put a nice pull-out shelf somewhere where that used to be. So anyway, that's going to be for a upcoming video on this project. So I hope you enjoyed watching me pull that thing apart. So if anyone knows any use for that large, high voltage, probably high frequency transformer, leave me a comment and let me know. Apart from that, thanks for watching and goodbye.